No one could help this disabled alien girl, except the human she fell in love with. Dr. James Mitchell first noticed Lyra not because of her condition, but because of her brilliance. During the weekly research symposium at the Galactic Medical Institute, she presented a paper on quantum neural mapping that left half the audience speechless and the other half frantically taking notes. What made her presentation remarkable wasn't just the groundbreaking research, it was how she delivered it. While other Etherian researchers communicated through the standard bioelectric field projections that their species used for complex thought sharing, Lyra spoke aloud in carefully measured words, her hands moving in precise gestures to supplement her meaning. After the presentation, James approached her outside the lecture hall. Lyra stood apart from the clusters of networking researchers, her iridescent blue skin shifting to deeper purples near her temples. What James had learned indicated concentration or stress in Etherians. "Dr. Lyra," he said, using the verbal communication she clearly preferred, "your work on quantum neural mapping is extraordinary. I'm James Mitchell, biomedical engineering." Lyra's large, luminous eyes focused on him with what seemed like surprise. You want to discuss my research?" "Of course. The applications for treating neurodegenerative diseases could be revolutionary." James paused, noting something in her tone. "Why do you sound surprised?" For a moment, Lyra's skin shifted to the pale silver that indicated uncertainty. "Most researchers here find it difficult to communicate with me. My thought projection capabilities are severely limited compared to other Etherians." James had noticed that other Etherian researchers seemed to communicate in rapid, wordless exchanges, complex ideas flowing between minds in seconds. For a species that prized mental connection and shared consciousness, Lyra's reliance on verbal communication would indeed be isolating. "Well," James said with a smile, "verbal communication happens to be my species' specialty. Would you like to collaborate? I think your neural mapping techniques could complement my work on adaptive neural interfaces." Over the following weeks, their professional relationship deepened into something more personal. James learned that Lyra's condition, a genetic variation that prevented her from fully accessing the bioelectric field communication that was central to Etherian culture, had made her an outsider in her own society. "My family loves me," Lyra explained one evening as they worked late in the lab, "but they don't understand me. To them, I'm incomplete, unable to share thoughts and emotions the way Etherians are meant to." James looked up from the neural interface prototype he was calibrating. "But you're not incomplete. You're different. Your brain processes information in ways that let you see patterns others miss. That's why your research is so innovative." Lyra's skin brightened to a warm gold, the Etherian expression of joy. "You really believe that?" "I know that," James replied firmly. "I've seen your work. I've watched you solve problems that stumped entire research teams." What began as professional admiration gradually evolved into something deeper. James found himself looking forward to their conversations, fascinated by Lyra's unique perspective on everything from quantum mechanics to human literature. Lyra, meanwhile, discovered that James never showed the impatience or pity that she often encountered when others had to accommodate her communication style. The breakthrough came when James was working on an adaptive neural interface for human patients with communication disorders. "What if," he mused aloud, "we could create a bridge between different types of neural communication?" Lyra's eyes widened. "You mean a device that could translate between bioelectric field projection and other forms of neural activity?" "Exactly. For humans, it could help stroke patients communicate complex thoughts." "For you," James trailed off, suddenly realizing the implications. "For me, it could allow me to connect with other Etherians in their natural communication mode." Lyra finished, her skin cycling through several colors in rapid succession: excitement, hope, and something that looked like fear. They worked for months on the prototype, combining Lyra's understanding of quantum neural patterns with James's expertise in biomedical interfaces. The device was elegant in its simplicity, a small neural headset that could detect and translate different types of brain activity. The day of the first test, Lyra was visibly nervous, her skin shifting between silver and blue. "What if it doesn't work?" she asked. "What if I'm just fundamentally different in a way that can't be bridged?" James took her hands, a gesture he'd learned meant comfort and support to Etherians. "Then we'll find another way. But Lyra, I want you to know something. Whether this works or not, you're perfect exactly as you are. This device isn't about fixing you, it's about giving you options." The test exceeded their wildest hopes. Not only could the device translate Lyra's thoughts into bioelectric field patterns that other Etherians could understand, but it also allowed her to maintain her own unique communication style. She could choose when and how to connect, rather than being forced into a single mode of interaction. But the real revelation came during the testing phase with other Etherian researchers. When Lyra used the device to share her quantum neural mapping research directly through bioelectric projection, the other scientists were astounded not just by the content, but by the unique way her brain structured and processed information. "Your neural patterns are extraordinary," Dr. Vexani, a senior Etherian researcher, projected through the device. "We've never encountered thought structures quite like this. It's as if you see connections that our standard neural pathways miss entirely." What had been considered a limitation was revealed to be a remarkable gift. Later that evening, as they celebrated the successful test, Lyra found herself alone with James in the laboratory. "You've given me something I never thought I could have," she said, her skin glowing with the deep gold that indicated profound gratitude and affection. "We gave it to each other," James corrected. "This device wouldn't exist without your research and your insights." Lyra moved closer, her bioluminescent patterns shifting to colors James had learned to associate with deep emotion. "James, I need to tell you something. In Etherian culture, we have a concept called soul bridging, the idea that two beings can understand each other so completely that they become connected beyond normal communication." James felt his heart rate increase. "And I think what we have. What you've helped me discover about myself. It's more than scientific collaboration." Lyra's skin brightened. "I believe humans might call it love." James smiled, reaching out to touch her hand. "Then it's good that this human feels the same way." As they embraced, James realized that their connection had nothing to do with the neural interface they'd built. They had bridged two different species, two different ways of thinking, through something far more powerful than technology, understanding, acceptance, and love. The device they'd created would help countless beings communicate across neurological differences. But the real breakthrough had been simpler and more profound, two people seeing each other not as broken or limited, but as perfectly, beautifully different, and choosing to build something wonderful together. 6 months later, when the Galactic Medical Institute awarded them the Joint Prize for Innovative Research, Lyra chose to give her acceptance speech without the neural interface, speaking aloud as she always had, her skin glowing with confident gold. She had never needed fixing, James realized as he watched her. She had only needed someone who understood that different was not the same as less than. And she had given him the same gift in return, showing him that love could indeed bridge any gap, no matter how impossible it seemed.